On this episode of Big Drive Energy, we're going to discuss the heartbreak that was Denny McCarthy losing on the 72nd hole to Viktor Hovland at Jack's Place.
73rd hole.
Well, he lost his lead on the 72nd hole, lost the tournament on the 73rd hole.
Yep.
Not much hope for him at that point against Viktor Hovland, a guy that's just been playing great golf all year. So shout out to him. I sat in this chair last week and said Denny McCarthy would not win at plus 10,000. It would just be too much luck on my side. And that ended up being the case. We're also going to have an interview with Brendan Connolly and Ben Dubois. They recently qualified for the USGA Four ball and got to go down to Kiawah Island and play some golf, competing against other golfers from all around the entire country. So we're going to talk to them about what that looked like. And this is all brought to you by our presenting sponsor, the guys over at Pins and Aces, the best golf company in the entire world. They've got joggers, they've got the liquor stick, they've got the beer sleeve. They're coming out with new ball markers and new collabs every single day. So make sure you check them out. pinsandaces.com, promo code BDE. Also, if you're listening to this pod audio wise, you want to tune in to our YouTube, subscribe on our YouTube. We had a live emergency pod just this morning talking about the whole live golf news. This podcast specifically will not get into too much of that. We'll ask Brendan and Ben what they think about it. But overall, if you want to hear more on that merging, if you will, head over to our YouTube or our podcast channel and find that from today. All right, let's tee it up.
Hello, friends. Welcome to this tradition unlike any.
What was that, Chair? Did somebody scream mashed potatoes?
That was mashed.
Denny McCarthy just absolutely buried me and my emotions. Following by the Nuggets losing game 2 of the NBA Finals, Sunday was I took a massive L. I took that L on the way out on Sunday for sure.
Yeah, that was the most painful PGA Tour event I've witnessed in recent history, especially given what Denny did on Sunday, how solid it seemed like he was. And it turns out that 18, the hardest hole on the course, came back and bit him right in the ass. Made bogeys there on the 72nd and the 73rd hole to ultimately lose the tournament. So
yeah, he was, like you said, he was such nails with the putter all day long that you kind of thought maybe he had a chance to make it a par on 18. He had, like, I think 22 or 23 feet. This is where like that golf, I don't know what the word, like the idea comes from, that like new guys, it's so hard for new guys to win on tour because everything was setting up for him to win. Rory McIlroy, who everybody in our poll on Sunday morning voted for to win the tournament, everybody thought was going to win the tournament.
He's now just a choker.
Yeah, he couldn't do anything on Sunday. And Denny McCarthy, you're like, oh, hopefully he can get his first PGA Tour win. He doesn't, because he ends up bogeying the 72nd hole, made 28 straight pars or better, and then decided to, not decided. Luckily, his ball should have gone in the water. He blew that way left. He could have
not even made the playoff, which would have been devastating. But you could tell the difference in demeanors down, especially in the playoff. Denny was coming off of that bogey on 18, didn't have a whole lot of confidence, so he hits that first tee shot left on the 72nd hole, proceeds in the playoff to hit his tee shot right. And honestly, I don't think it was really talked about how close that second shot was to being phenomenal from where he was in ankle high rough to get it to the front edge of the green. And then it proceeds to roll 50 yards back. Like, talk about like a penalizing hole. So Denny just didn't seem near as settled in. Viktor Hovland did have a very shitty lie. Collared up right against the first cut.
I thought that was going to save us.
I thought he was going to blow on right, like hard knuckleball, all right. But he ended up hitting it on the green and ultimately finishing the event. So it really just fucked us.
Yeah, well, you can tell there's just such an I felt Denny McCarthy's drive on the playoff in my soul because he was so fucking with the left side.
He had hit a few drives a little bit left kind of down the stretch. So
that didn't cut. Like he plays a cut, which I love, but he couldn't get the ball to cut. And
there's
just shows
nothing
you
worse than when you connect with one and you know it's pulled and it's not fading back. You're like, fuck.
Yeah, and he did that multiple times and then ended up doing it on the 72nd hole. Then the playoff hole, he's like, I'm going to get this one to cut, and it cut about 60 yards. And one of the things that was crazy, it was cool to see another PGA Tour event in that -6, -7 range because Scotty Scheffler was 1 under par going into the final round and had a chance
cut on the number.
Yeah, had a chance to win the event at one point.
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
he was tied for the lead.
Another crazy Sunday. Couldn't putt for shit. He would have won. I think strokes gain wise, I think he had 19 strokes gained on the field this week, which has not been done since like Tiger of 2000. That's kind of the benchmark, you know what I'm saying? But Scotty had an unbelievable week, tee to green, horrible week on the greens. I think he was like -10 on strokes gained putting. So just a terrible week on the greens, great ball striking week. But it just seems like you see his name at the top of every leaderboard come, Sunday afternoon. So no surprise. But like you said, if this tournament was -20, -22 winner, and Scotty is hanging around at -6, even -10, you're not coming back from a 12-shot deficit. But when the leaderboard is that packed and that's condensed into that low of a score at like -5, -6, it makes things a lot more exciting on Sunday.
Yeah, I think there was 31 players within 4 shots of the lead going into Sunday, and McCarthy had the lead most of the day, was nails with the putter, and just goes to show you he finished 1 shot below Scotty Scheffler or above, depending upon how you look at it, 1 shot better than Scotty Scheffler. Scotty Scheffler was the class of the tournament tee to green. Denny McCarthy was, I think he was +10, I want to say, in strokes gained putting on the field, and they're both in the same spot. So he, I did think like he made a few just crazy par putts, but then he also had a relatively easy birdie putt on like 14 that he missed. That would have put him at 9 under and kind of put it out of reach,
giving him a 3-shot lead. We need to talk about, were you going to bring up Viktor's putt on 17?
Yep, that's exactly where I was going.
Like what, 40 feet? On 17,
I think it was 27 feet.
Okay, definitely the longest putt that was made there. I think there was probably definitely more bogeys made there than birdies that day. Even pars.
That was the only birdie made all day at 17.
Scotty
was Viktor
made
Hovland.
birdie, didn't he?
No, not on 17.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking 16, the par 3.
Yeah.
17. Only birdie made all day, and he made a bomb to do it. So Viktor is not very well known for his putting, and let's be real, his ball striking is definitely much better than his putting.
He flubbed a chip. He hit a chip 2 feet.
Yeah.
And you win a golf tournament hitting that shot during the final round.
Well, those par 3s on the back 9 are brutal, dude. Like, these guys are hitting 9-iron, especially if there's wind. These guys are hitting 8 or 9-iron and can't hold it on the green because of how firm it is. Like, absolutely insane.
Yeah. So we'll be back with Big Bet Energy this coming week. Hopefully get you guys that plus 10,000 winner. I'm gonna cook up some more. I'm never gonna get that close again with a guy that high. But
dude, that's just disgusting.
Yeah, taking the L, but it's how it goes. Who doesn't take the L is your balls during the summer when you have Manscaped. You're W's always only. W's only down below with Manscaped and the crop mop. Something I have in my golf bag every single round because it does get hot out here. It's been kind of cold where we've been playing golf for lately, cold and rainy. Your weekend of golf was full of rain, so that was a treat. But when it gets hot out, you definitely want the crop mop. You need the whole performance package 4.0, the lawnmower 4.0. I'm starting to get to the age where I need to trim my nose, which is super sad. Like, I used to think that was a really old guy thing, and now my nose hairs need to be trimmed. So Manscaped has the technology for all of that. They've got the lawnmower 4.0. They've got with the light on it, and then the Weed Whacker 2.0, which is the ear and nose trimmer. I haven't gotten to to my ears yet. Thank God. I don't think I have any hairs on my
I've
ears.
noticed a few hairs on the top of my ears.
Oh man.
And I might need an AARP membership at this point.
So the Weed Whacker 2.0 comes with the AARP membership. No, but definitely Father's Day is coming up. So make sure you check out manscapes.com. Use that promo code DNVR. You get 20% off your entire order plus free shipping. And you can set it to where they like send you I get like a new blade every month. So I'm never like trying to trim my balls with a dull blade. That's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Not fun. You also have to have 2 razors. You have the razor for your balls, razor for your face. Can't mix the 2 of those. But go head over to manscaped.com. Use the promo code DNVR and you're getting 20% off plus free shipping. And we've got new sponsor alert. Bow, 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 bow. If you guys are in Arizona, the best burritos in the entire planet are Burrito Express. We had their burritos at the Keeping It 100 golf tournament down at Dobson Ranch last Friday. And I'm normally not a big breakfast eater, but I ate 2 breakfast burritos and it was.
Does anything hit like a great breakfast burrito?
No. And people were like asking where they could get more burritos because there was some leftovers after the tournament. But Burrito Express has the best burritos in the state of Arizona. Make sure you check them out. They've got breakfast burritos. They've got lunch burritos, dinner burritos, late night burritos. No matter what, Burrito Express has got you covered. Like I said, best breakfast burrito I've had ever. They have so many different options. It's not like you walk in there and you're like, oh, you can get this or that. Like they had no cheese burritos, which is my move. They had just a bunch of options. So make sure you're checking out Burrito Express if you're in Arizona. They are by far the best burrito I've ever had, and I will never
turn it up.
Chipotle shit on yourself. Burrito Express is the real goats. All right, let's tune it over to us in the same studio with 2 more people in the future. And hopping on to Big Drive Energy with us, welcome to the show, Brendan Connolly and Ben Dubois. They played in the USGA Four ball in South Carolina, I guess last month now. It's now June. But we're going to talk to them about that. We're going to talk to them about getting into golf and how you guys started out and became friends and played together in college and now are here. Some of the stuff you guys do around the game of golf as well. Mitchell, let's start with what the Four ball is.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about like how you guys qualified, what exactly it is, because this is a newer event, right? What is it, 4 or 5 years old?
The eighth year.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I was close.
Yeah.
5, 8, same thing. So yeah, tell us a little bit about what that is and give us also, I guess let's just go into the whole thing. So you guys played golf together at Gonzaga. Is this where that's where you met, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Got you. So did both of you turn pro and then reinstate back to AM? Did you ever turn pro?
Never turned pro.
Never turned pro. Okay. So I know you were professional, went back.
Professional.
Yeah. It's a relative term.
That's literally our whenever we say golf, we're golf professionals. It's like, that's very air quoted term.
Yeah. It means something to us that doesn't mean.
There's a big difference between golf professionals and professional golfers.
Right. Exactly. I would agree.
We're very much in the golf professional realm and then even lower than that realm, to be honest with you.
100%. So give us a little bit of your time at Gonzaga. Like, let's hear what that was like. Cause that seems like a very cool school to go to, relatively like not on the radar of like where a lot of people think they want to go. Maybe with the basketball program, it's gotten a little bit more recognition, but
yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Spokane. I know it's a great place.
Okay, I guess I'll lead it off. Yeah, I mean, Spokane is awesome. It's definitely a basketball town. I mean, I went up there on a visit, senior year of high school, or maybe it was junior year. But kind of coach followed me to a tournament and said, I want to offer you a full ride. And my parents were like, it's your decision, but we would take it if we were you. So I wanted to go on a visit, so I went up there. Had some family members that went to school there, a couple aunts and uncles, and they basically were like, let's go on a visit, see if you like it. And Adam Morrison was actually on my flight from Denver.
Oh, that's
seat
perfect.
Right in front of me. I mean, like facial hair down to here, like just looked like a
Jesus
serial
Christ
killer. Like,
himself.
he looked scary. But went up there, just had a blast. Actually almost got an MIP on my official visit, which was
That sounds right. Got to do that.
So had the time of my life and didn't even think twice about it. The next day I committed to go there, and it's definitely not known for golf, but I think we got a lot better over at least the 4 years. You weren't there all 4 years that I was there. We were kind of split times, but
Okay.
you were 2 years younger than me, so Yeah, he was. I guess I was a junior or freshman year.
Got
So,
you.
Yeah, that's how we met. You're from Seattle.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I was going to ask.
Yeah, I grew
So
up in
you're
Seattle.
Brendan. You're from Colorado, and you're from Seattle. So what attracted you to go to Gonzaga?
You know, Brendan and I had quite different paths. Brendan was actually good at golf.
I know he was like one of the top juniors in the country in high school. Was that a thing?
Yeah, it was. I think like my best. I was like somewhere in the top 50.
That's
ATV
badass.
or whatever.
Definitely one of the best in Colorado.
Yeah, behind Wyndham.
I was gonna say you and Wyndham.
Yeah.
Everybody behind Wyndham Clark.
Yeah, after I turned 13, Wyndham just blew right by me.
Yeah, like everybody else.
Yeah, I was far away from him, but I would like to think I was number 2.
Right. Hey, number 2's good behind that guy.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, so my path was a little different. I was not good at golf really, but I got a lot better, and I ended up going to Gonzaga because it was a place where I felt like I would have fun whether I was playing golf or not, and I ended up walking onto the team.
oh hell yeah.
So I did not have a spot when I went there, and it was kind of like a rocky road for the first couple of years. But I'd say by the time Brendan left and quit holding me back, I actually kind of
Quit buying you all those
ingrained my
beers.
spot on the team and started playing better golf. So.
Okay.
Had better influences around him.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So we had Vince Indy on. He's actually on the Corn Ferry Tour right now, and he talked to us about going to Iowa. We're obviously Iowa fans.
Yeah.
What was the golf program like in terms of? He said Iowa was basically a shit show. It was like I guess talking in terms of like when you played in high school. You know, we obviously both played in high school too, and for us at a less serious golf high school, it's kind of a fuck show. It's just like our coach doesn't know anything. He's a glorified babysitter. So was it a big like jump for you guys from where you went to high school to going to Gonzaga, or was the program not quite as serious until you guys ended up leaving there?
The golf program is definitely not as big time as the basketball program, obviously.
Yeah.
But I would say for me, it was less about like, just the golf got tougher. There was obviously better competition. The courses got a lot tougher.
Yeah.
Some people say like college golf tournaments are set up tougher than like Corn Ferry events. And, we played in a tournament. I don't know if you might have already graduated, but we played in Stanford's tournament, and John Rahm was in the field. He didn't win. He got like 10th, and the winner shot like 5 under par. And,
It's like
then
US
these guys
Open.
are shooting like 20 under par every week.
Yeah.
A couple years later, obviously I think they get better at golf, but the courses are also set up pretty tough. So I think for me, it was like, you can get away with bad shots in junior golf and in high school because you're not playing that tough of golf courses. But when the golf courses stepped up and the competition did, it really spread the fields out. So
Totally.
when I was sitting next to him on the range, I was like, wow, probably shouldn't be here.
This
Yeah.
is different.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
nothing like feeling out of place on a driving range.
Yeah.
You know what that feels like. So, what about Seattle? Like junior golf, was it pretty prominent up there, or what does that look like? Because we know what Colorado is. It's nothing. I mean, it's getting better. Kind of. I think like golf in general has grown, but is Seattle junior golf kind of a big deal, or is it?
Yeah, there was like some good competition. Seattle, like I had some buddies, we could play year round, but you were just like
in the rain.
You were just like shoveling your golf ball like from 6 inches under the ground when it plugged,
Oh God.
for 8 months out of the year. So I feel like Seattle's not, I wouldn't say like a breeding ground for
Yeah.
prominent golfers for multiple reasons. But
no
I'd say
San
it's
Diego.
still no saying it's not Texas, it's not Florida.
Yeah.
But there's good golf up there, and there's a few good golfers that went to like University of Washington or I'd say University of Washington was kind of the big program up there. Oregon's gotten pretty good too. They won a national championship.
Well, yeah, that's where Wyndham was, and
Yeah.
they won the national title with Aaron Wise and stuff. So they put together a pretty good program. But I know there for a while, like it wasn't anything special by any
Yeah.
means. So that makes sense.
Well, let's talk about actually getting into this. So give us a little bit of insight onto what the 4-ball is for some of those people that don't even know, like match play. You don't have to describe the whole match play thing, but like the best ball and then getting into it and then what it looked like when you guys got to go down to Kiawah Island.
Yeah. So, the 4-ball format is, I think, an awesome format. It's definitely not gimmicky at all, like maybe you would think of a scramble or something. But, I think for golfers like us that maybe don't play every day, it's awesome because if we both kind of play well on our holes, we'll do well as a team.
Got to ham and egg it a little bit.
But the format itself, just, for the audience is we each play our own ball and we take the better score on each hole. So, and then you add those up for 18 holes.
Yeah.
And so the qualifier was an 18-hole qualifier. There were between 50 and 60 teams playing in it.
Was this at Common Ground again this year?
Yeah.
Okay. Before it went underwater?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was actually last September.
Oh,
so the
okay,
qualifier was last fall.
Okay. Is that a standard thing with the 4-ball? Do they do it in the fall?
Yeah, I think just because of the timing of the tournament, middle of May, I think Colorado states,
That's true.
anywhere that's cold weather, you'd have the qualifier in April, and you never know if it's gonna be snowing or not. So yeah, it's kind of a weird. Like we were all pumped. We got in and we're like, oh, it's 7 months until we play in it. So it's like everybody's all excited. Well, when are you guys leaving? It's like May 14th. Like
yeah,
like
that's gotta be a little weird.
Yeah, but.
Yeah, we've got 7 months to either get better or to get worse.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta. I mean, I guess it's good motivation to practice in the winter, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you're just sitting on your ass. You're like, I'll wait till April to get back into it. But I'm sure you guys, on some level, had to feel like you were staying, in game shape, I guess you could say, with your games. So
yeah, it was fun to have something to look forward to, because it would have been fun. Like, you have the momentum and you play really well, and then 2 weeks later you go to the tournament, or 3 weeks later, and kind of ride the momentum. But yeah, it was fun to, especially with me being in Arizona in the winter, it's nice to, have more time to practice because the weather's better. But yeah, it was something, if I ever felt lazy, it's like, no, I need to make sure I haven't touched the club in 4 days. Like I need to go practice because we have a big tournament coming up. So
absolutely.
Kept me a little more motivated than normal.
No doubt about that. So what did you guys fire to get in best ball?
So we were 10 under par.
62, is that par 72?
No, they played at par 70.
What was the par?
It was par 70 that day.
Oh, they changed a couple of fives into fours.
They played it as par 70, and so we actually had to putt on the last hole to shoot 59. If I would have known that, I probably would have made it.
No, 100%, absolutely. That is pretty damn nasty. Like no matter how you slice it, 10 or 62 or whatever, 10 under par is gnarly for a 2-man best ball. So then you went and played. It was at Cassique, correct? Or give us what were the courses you were actually playing?
Yeah, you do. So the tournament itself is 128 teams. Top 32 make it to match play, but everybody's guaranteed 36 holes, 1 on the river and 1 on the Cassique. Okay. And then all the match play was on the Cassique.
Gotcha.
So yeah, we played 1 on each, and then
damn, that's a lot of golfers too. That's 2 full golf courses
256 golfers. Yeah. So 128 teams.
Yeah. That's
I'm an engineer.
not a big deal or anything.
So we'll go back just real quick to the qualifiers and Common Ground. How many teams is this is it like a regional thing, or was it like you had to go through Colorado and then go to straight there?
Yeah, I think we should definitely put more context around the qualifier because it is really hard to qualify for these USGA events.
Yeah,
I played in a bunch of USGA qualifiers. This was the first one I've ever made.
Yeah,
Brennan's made a couple. He as a junior.
Yeah.
Did you qualify for like the junior am?
Yeah, I qualified for 2 US juniors.
Okay.
Yeah, those are also hard, but at least you have 36 holes.
Yeah.
Or at least I always liked 36 holes. I felt like it separated the field more. If you had one decent round, you didn't feel like you had to go super low the next round, or if you had a mediocre round, you feel like, okay, well, I got 18 holes where I can just say fuck it and try to shoot 60.
Yeah.
And you have a chance. Whereas the 4-ball, it's like if we both make double on a hole, like you're pretty much like, well, we're done because we only got 18 holes to play. So it's
basically a Monday qualifier. Like you got to go play a really good 18 holes. And see, you don't have like the laziness mindset that I do because 36 holes, fuck that. Like that is
nowadays I don't want to do 36.
Yeah, like if I'm cashed in after 18. I actually just played 36 on Saturday in the rain, and I basically have a cold now because of it. So it's not something that like is for the faint of heart by any means. Like 36 is a lot, but on the other side of that, like you said, 18 is even tougher from just a pure golf perspective because you have one bad hole, you pretty much kiss it goodbye, or then you're pressing, trying to make birdies and eagles, whatever, and it can go one of 2 ways pretty quickly. So.
And we realized that the year before, that was the first year we played together in the qualifier, and we missed it by 1. and we had one bogey the whole day, you know.
Yeah.
But so I think they told us at the tournament there were 2,500 teams that tried to qualify. So there was like 50 qualifiers across the country. And then those qualifiers basically whittled it down to 128 teams.
Wow.
So
I think we did the math. I don't think there's any qualifier that had more than 2. I think every qualifier around the country has 2 teams that make it.
Okay.
And so
there were 50-ish qualifiers.
Okay.
And then there's obviously you have people that are exempt. Like if you make it to the round of 16 the year prior,
okay,
you get in automatically next year. Or if you're, I think if you win it, you get a 10-year exemption.
Holy shit.
So there's I actually looked at the exemption list. There's probably like 20 to 30 teams that were exempt. So I think that math probably works. You know, they pretty much have a qualifier per state, one per state, and then 2
the rest
teams.
exemptions.
So you got about 100 teams that qualify, and then whatever 20, 30 teams that are exempt. But yeah, it's tough because we kind of got it going early. I mean, you were 200 through 3. I was 1 over through 3, and he's probably looking at me like, "Oh, here we go again." Why did I bring this kid? And then we both birdied 4. And we're like, okay. I'm like, he's like, okay, awesome. I've made 3 birdies.
I'm like, why'd you birdie that one? I was going to birdie that one.
Fucking missed the putt or something.
He's like, sweet. I'm like 300. I'm like, oh, thank God I made a birdie. I'm like, made a birdie. And then I think I rattled off like 2 of the next 3. He birdied the one in between that I didn't birdie. And then, so I think we were like 7 under through 8. And we're like, okay, we're humming.
And we birdied one of the same holes,
Okay, yeah. You guys were definitely thinking in the 50s then.
Yeah, so I mean,
which it's different as like a 2-man best ball. It's not
totally
playing 59 watts.
No,
but at the same time, like breaking 60 is breaking 60. No matter,
And I think through the first 8 holes, we only had I bogeyed the 3rd hole, the par 5. I hit like a bad tee shot. But other than that, it wasn't like we had any. It's like, oh, okay, well, Brendan's out of bounds. Like Ben play hard, or Ben's out of. It's like there was literally it was like either we were making birdie or it was easy pars. Yeah. So we were kind of cruising along, and it's like, okay, we're 700 through 8, and then we got a little sloppy on 9 and made a par, luckily. And so we're like, okay, make the turn in 7, and then we hit a
pretty
hole. I think we didn't make another birdie until 13.
Yeah.
So we're like all we're on a high, we're like 7 under making the turn, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, we got to get our shit back together. Yeah. And
did they play 11 as a par 4?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a few par 5s you could play as par 4s. I mean, it is kind of brutal.
And they had it set up pretty easily, I thought.
Really?
I'd played a couple other qualifiers, whatever. I caddied in the USAM there for Eric Hallberg, actually.
Okay.
And had it there. And I mean, I thought it was just a brood from all the way back.
Yeah.
And you can play a couple of those holes way the hell back there. But they had 5 up, 2 boxes.
Oh, wow.
That one along the water there.
Yeah.
I think that's 5.
Yeah, that par 4.
And then, a couple 11, I think we hit I don't know, I think I hit 6 or 7.
Mid-iron.
11, I think you had pitching wedge into 11.
Yeah, I think I had gap
hitter.
wedge in.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've hit gap wedge into that hole. Granted, it was fucking a little downwind, but I was thinking this is the easiest par 5 on the planet. I love it.
But that green is tough.
Yeah,
that green.
It's still not a birdie hole if you have pitching wedge in your hand.
Right, exactly.
You're still kind of okay, I'm happy with par, but it was down to the wire, knowing there's only 2 teams, and they have the live scoring, but it's all up to the people. It's all up to the people putting it in themselves. So we kind of keep looking every once in a while, and it's all of a sudden it's this team that we haven't seen on the leaderboards fucking.
They just entered 6 holes.
Where they go from 3 under to 9 under really quick, and so it's kind of we're shit. We gotta finish strong here, and we ended up at 10, and there was another team at 10. They only take 2, and there was 2 teams at 9.
Oh boy!
So I mean,
I think there were 4 teams at 9.
Were there? Yeah, it was.
Damn. So it was
stacked up. So
we needed every shot that we.
Yeah, we were both getting exhausted because we carried our own bags.
Oh,
and
shit!
I never carry I caddy for a living. So
I was going to say you carry other people's bags.
Anytime I have an opportunity to throw them on a cart, I'm like, yes, please.
100%.
We're out there walking, and we both get to 15, and we're like, man, we're getting a little tired. Yeah. So it was. We
were limping in, but.
Okay, so this is interesting to me because I feel like as a best ball, as a 2-man best ball, you have to have some sort of chemistry. There's people you play better with and people that you don't. So give us a little bit of your the side of your team, how you guys work together. Is there any sorries, or is there there's no fucking sorries here? If I make bogey, I make bogey, or is it kind of pick each other up? Is it you know what I mean?
Yeah.
because there's definitely different dynamics, like where some dudes are dicks to each other and they're trying to beat each other.
We're fucking horrible. We're brothers, and we're probably the worst fucking 2-man team. Our games fit perfectly, like more for a scramble, because like I hit it a little further, but he's dialed with the wedges. I'm horrible with the putter. He's great with the putter. When you're playing your own ball, you kind of have to like. Does that change your guys' mindset at all? You're like, you know, in the back of your mind, you see Brendan fucking smoke one out of bounds. You're like, oh, I maybe should hit 4-iron here or something like that. Or
Well, it's interesting. So the first year we played in the qualifier together, I think Brendan teed off first on every hole, and I teed off second. I think the thought behind that was like Brendan has a nasty short game. You know, my short game is hot or cold, but I hit the ball pretty. I hit the ball pretty well.
Okay.
And so I thought like, okay, if Brendan hits out of play, like I'll make sure I get in play and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
But I felt like maybe that made us not as aggressive the first year.
Yeah.
And so this year I teed off first, thinking like, okay, if I can get one out there, which I will most of the time, then Brendan can really, get after it.
Yeah.
And so I felt like it worked better. And then honestly, I had Brendan read all my putts and they all went in. So if you need a caddy, Brendan's the guy.
No, they're definitely, and that's another dynamic is like when I was playing with my buddy on Saturday, I didn't want him to read any of my putts, but he wanted me to read all of his putts.
Yeah.
So then it's like, it's a little extra on you because you're trying to play your own game while also helping your teammate. Yeah. So there's like a different kind of mentality there versus just like playing your own ball.
Yeah, it's funny, like caddying for a living, I just like I'm so like programmed to do it that like it doesn't bother me the slightest. Like I'd caddy for everybody in the group when I'm playing with them if they wanted me to. I'm like,
I was gonna say you walk up to the other twosome you're playing with, you're like, hey, that goes a little left. Yeah,
it's an interesting question, like you guys were talking about like I definitely think we have like good chemistry as a team, but I don't think there's like any like rhyme or reason to it. It's just I think the biggest thing is we're both very like level headed. Like we're not like guys that hit a bad shot and like, lose our mind. And it's like, hey, went bad. I'm like, oh, well, I don't play that much. So like, whatever. Like,
that makes sense.
I don't think I got to go hit the next shot. So like, what am I going to do? Like snap my club and, bitch and moan and be one of those guys that, everybody hates playing with, or, it's just kind of keep your head down and move on to the next shot. So I think we're both very even keeled on the course. And then it's kind of, I think we also don't really let the other person's game affect. Like, I don't feel like there was too many, even in like the actual tournament this year. It wasn't like, oh, okay, like Ben might be in a tough spot. I'm all of a sudden now going to hit hybrid off the tee. I'm like, no, I'll just hit driver. Or same thing with him. It's like, if I didn't hit a great tee shot, he's like, do you want me to hit something else? I'm like, no, just play it the way you would play it. And we'll go from there. Obviously if he hits one out of bounds or I hit one out of bounds, it's a different story, but very rarely did that ever happen in the qualifier or the tournament. So it's like, you just kind of play your ball and see where the cards fall. But I definitely think there's a little bit of strategy when it comes to like, maybe who putts first. Like there was a couple times where we kind of looked back on the actual tournament where like
I think you should tell the story about the first hole tournament.
If there's a story, it needs to be told.
He's never played a USGA event, so he's all he didn't tell me this, but I'm like imagining that he's pretty nervous going into the first round. And I
pounded my opening drive though.
Yeah, I haven't played like a tournament. I mean, I don't really consider the qualifier a tournament. It's like 18-hole qualifier or whatever. It's you play well, you get in. If not, you don't. But I don't consider like a tournament in my mind. So I hadn't played like a legit tournament in a long time. And so we get to that first. We do the practice rounds. I'm not really feeling nervous. And we get to that first tee, and I'm like literally shaking. I'm like going to like, I gotta, this. And I'm like, Jesus, like I'm really nervous. And I hit it down the middle. Ben pipes one down the middle. I'm like, okay, we're off. Like here we go. And then I think what I hit first, because you're out driving by like 30 yards every time, so I'm back there, middle of the fairway. I'm like, okay, perfect. It's like a pitching wedge, a little right of the hole. Hit it to like, 15 feet. Got an uphill putt. I'm like, okay, that's all we can ask for.
Yeah.
Nervous is.
You're kind of like blacking out. Like when you're that nervous, you're not even like, you're like, oh shit, that just happened. Like you don't even really think when you're doing something. And
then you hit it to like, 8-10 feet, like pin high left. And I'm like, okay, sweet.
We're rolling. We're making birdie here.
Yeah.
And the greens out there were incredible. They were really quick, but they were a
little faster than the practice round though. Okay, like maybe practice round they were rolling 12.5, 13, and then game day it was like
good
14.
Lord. Yeah, so they were flying.
Yeah, they were flying.
Yeah, they were.
Good Lord.
They were flying.
It's like putting on a fucking sheet of glass.
Yeah.
So he had the down. I mean, it wasn't really like crazy quick, but he had the downhiller technically. I had like the straight uphiller. So like looking back, we're like, well, maybe like have him putt first, because he's got the quicker putt and the greens are fast. But it was just like, okay, well, I'm out, so I putt. And I'm like, oh, it's like a ball out right. Be aggressive. Don't leave it 2 feet short in the heart on your first hole. And I like lip it out on the high side, like 4 feet by.
Oh, shit.
And I'm kind of pissed, but I'm like, okay, he's in there good, whatever. He'll roll it in, he'll make 3. So then he hits it like 3 or 4 feet by. And we're both like looking at each other.
We're like, really?
What are we doing? And I'm still nervous, the second putt. And like, I like to consider that like the strength of my game is, short game for sure. But I think when I'm really playing well, I'm really good at putting. And I don't even hit it's like a fucking left center putt from 3 feet.
You don't even hit the hole.
I fucking like miss it by like a ball left. I mean, I pull this thing so bad, and I'm like, oh my God, here we go.
So wait, why didn't were you on his line before? Could you have like finished out the
Well, that's
par?
the other thing we talked about too.
Yeah,
like,
we
I
didn't.
could've-
Yeah,
I would have
yes.
gone first, and then he would have
Hold out
theoretically, sallied it up there if I missed it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, we really need a 4 here. Let's not get aggressive.
Yeah, or
So,
you're
it was
not
like
going to
just a-
freeze him
yeah.
up. Kind
It was
of.
But
just a-
I got up there over my 10-foot birdie putt, and I'm like, oh, Brennan's 4 feet. He's got that. I'm making this.
Yeah.
We need to get off to the right start. And so we both ended up 3 putting first hole.
Oh. Yeah, that's a.
I mean, it could have been more of like a picture perfect start until we get to the green, and then it's like, oh, yeah, you still have to putt. This is,
Yep.
The good thing is we didn't miss the cut by 1. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That would have haunted you guys.
That's what kills you in that format. That's why the qualifier is so hard. Is like all it takes, like you guys said, is like one bad hole where I hit it OB and then Ben's like playing conservative, and then he makes bogey or double because he had to play conservative because he felt like I was out of the hole.
Totally.
And next thing you know, you're like, well, it took 10 under and we shot 8 with a double on the same hole. It's like,
Yeah.
Or even just a bogey on the same hole. It's like, or you both make 5 birdies. And you make
They're
them
all
on
the
opposite
same.
holes, you shoot 10. You make them on the same hole, you shoot 5. So it's funny to look through the scorecards, like at the tournament and the qualifier, and see how many teams, like they probably beat us, like they both beat us on their own ball. But like just to combine the way it works out, it's like you got to ham and egg it,
Totally.
So it's a fun format, but it's a lot more stressful than going out there and doing alt shot actually alt shot would be a bad example. That's way more stressful.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking
like a
stressful,
scramble
too.
or like shamble or something like that. It's like, okay, well,
Totally.
you guys can hit a bad shot or whatever, but yeah, when it's literally just better ball of the two of you, it's
the key is to not bogey the same hole and not birdie the same hole.
Correct.
That's
yeah. No, that makes sense.
That's all you got to do.
I mean, that sounds easy on paper, right?
Yeah.
You just got to go out there and do it. So.
Well, how do you guys feel like, I mean, you're obviously great players. You shot a fucking 60 at the qualifier. Did you feel like you guys were a little bit, now you play a fair amount of golf in Arizona and not at altitude, but do you guys feel like you're a little bit like behind is not the right term, but when you get there, there's some dudes that have been playing that qualified there probably that have been from South Carolina and how long did that altitude adjustment take? Was it pretty quick for you guys? Or because I know even what's crazy is not just the altitude. The fucking grass is different. And
the conditions
when you
are
don't
so
know
much
golf,
different.
you're like, fucking, here's a course and here's a course. No, it's like hitting chip shots. Like when we went to Texas, I'm not a good chipper anyways, but I fucking hit 10 chips in the forehead because the fucking grass scared me.
You're just bouncing it.
I'm just like looking at this grass. I'm like, my club is not just going to like sweep under this ball and like lift it up. Like I have to clip this clean. And then I end up just like, so did you guys feel like that was part of why you didn't essentially, make the cut and qualify? Or was it just like, these guys are fucking ridiculous?
I think there was a lot of good players, obviously. I think, we got to practice on each golf course, kind of got to settle in a little bit, but I think we were pretty uncomfortable on day one. I don't know if it was because of the golf course or the altitude, or we hadn't played much golf recently. We hadn't played a tournament since the qualifier. Probably more of that, just the golf part. But we were, we played a lot better on day 2. We were very comfortable. So we just needed
and the two golf courses
play more like that.
The two golf courses were drastically
Different
just in like, had you just played Cassique?
I had never played Cassique. My buddy, our buddy Oliver, used to caddy out there, and he said it was unbelievable. He said,
it's awesome.
He said it was like better than Kiawah, like the ocean course, or just about like as good as the ocean course at Kiawah.
Yeah, I mean, we loved both of them, but the river course was definitely like a bear. I mean, it was like
brutal.
And we shot 1 over in better ball the first day, and we didn't play. Obviously, we could have played a lot better, but it wasn't like both of us walked off going like we would have shot 82 on our own ball, like, and that's like the equivalent in my mind. Like you shoot 1 over in better ball for the two of us.
It's like a couple
we both
80s.
would have shot like 78 to 82.
Yeah,
because and we hit a lot of good shots. We hit yeah, we didn't really ham and egg it very well. We pretty much ham and hammed like, nobody's business. But at the same time, like I felt like we hit a lot of good shots, and it just was not a scoreable golf course. And then the second day, I felt like, you played a lot better the second day, but I just felt like it was way more gettable. It was a lot more
fun,
Yeah, no, I mean, fun definitely. Fact, it's one of the. It's like it's like chicken and the egg. Like, do you play better because you have more fun, or do you have more fun because you're playing better? It's kind of
both.
One of those. Yeah, right. So, like, are a lot of the players in this field like former professionals, or like what? Like, give us an idea of. Was there any names that you recognized in the game of golf that was like playing in this? Like former, like good juniors. Or
there's a lot of names that I recognize for sure. A lot of kids I played junior golf with. Don't know how many of them like played professionally, or I think there was a good bit of people that probably played professionally to some degree and then got their aim status back. But yeah, it was kind of an interesting field because like there's the two kids that were in our qualifier. One of them plays at CU. One of them plays at Mines.
Oh, damn.
I didn't realize they got in as an alternate from our site.
Oh, okay.
And they made it to match play. Like Hunter Swanson and I forget the other kid's name.
I don't know any college
anyway, like
kids
they're
anymore.
like 19 or 20.
Yeah.
And then, we're both, right around 30. And then there was teams. I mean, Romo was playing in the field with
Oh, was he
a
really?
kid that plays for Texas currently.
Okay.
So and there was a couple teams out there that I think they said the oldest team is like 96 combined age or something like that.
Oh, damn.
And the youngest was like 32. So yeah, it was like all age ranges, all. So
and like Brennan said, the guy that Tony Romo played with is a college
Probably
kid.
the next Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah, Tommy Morrison, I think. Morrison. I think he's like,
Tommy Morrissey.
He's like a freshman in Texas right now.
That name sounds
Something like
correct.
that.
But he's supposed to be a stud. And then, obviously, I don't know how him and Romo got paired up other than some sort of Texas connection.
I'm sure Romo's got he can handpick whoever. Yeah. He's probably flying the PJ out to wherever they're at and shit. So it doesn't sound like a bad deal to be his teammate. But I actually didn't even think about the college factor because all those kids are practicing their they're relative to like where we are in our life versus college kids. They go to class a couple hours a day and then they're on the golf course. Like you probably at this point in your golf game feel like those guys have a leg up. Even though like experience does matter, like age, I've learned that like I'm much better mentally than I was 10 years ago, but physically speaking, it's a different level. So like the college kids definitely, they're just so much better than even they used to be. I
think the kids that end up winning, they both play at Cal, Berkeley.
Shocker.
Yeah.
A couple of Max Homa disciples or what?
Yeah,
what was the final? What did they, or I guess what got into match play for a 2-day tournament?
There was a playoff at 8 under.
Okay.
For
so
the 2 days.
It was still pretty tough. Like those guys, you got.
I think it was a 10 for 2 at 8. 9 got in, and I think 16 was medalist.
Okay.
Was it 16 or was
I
it
think
lower?
that sounds right.
Yeah.
Maybe it was 14.
Yeah, something. So we weren't far off, but it was interesting to see all the scores too because you play. Like we played the hard course, then the easy course. So it's funny to see some of the guys shoot, 8, 10 under the first day. And all of a sudden they shoot 2 over the second day and make it like right on the number.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was big fluctuation in the scores, definitely. I mean, the match play course, the Cassique was definitely, people were taking it super deep. And then,
way more gettable.
Yeah, the river course, I guess the first day, somebody shot 10 under on our course or 9.
Yeah.
And we looked at the
like
score,
that,
we were like,
that was not in our,
like even if we were striping it, we were.
that was not in our range of outcomes.
Yeah, for sure.
We would have been stoked with like 5.
Yeah.
We're like, we're looking at the scoreboard and it's like Cassique, river. I'm like 9 under. I'm like, who are those guys?
That almost makes you feel a little bit better though, because you don't when it's like out of reach a little bit, you're like, I can live with that. But if it's a number where you're like, we could have gotten there today, then you're kind of like pissed off about it.
Yeah.
I think our goal was to make match play because when you get to match play, like
anything can happen.
Yeah. So we'll have to do that next time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, so one question I had from back to the qualifier, because in the actual tournament, you probably didn't see anything too crazy, but I love in qualifiers seeing the dudes that fire like 120, like in an individual ball. Was there some people at Common Ground that just had a fucking
they had a handicap, like the cap, like
the guys that we played with, like chop it up.
Yeah.
I swear,
best ball like 85.
Not that bad, but it was. I mean,
it wasn't good.
Like it was like one of those ones where they probably both shot 85, but like because it was a best ball, they, somehow made like
couple over or something.
it was like 75, 76. But
Yeah.
I mean, they could have had that course, in my opinion, they could have had that course set up any easier. So it was like, if you were over par and a better ball, it was
Not good.
And it was kind of funny because they were super nice. But like once we started getting on a roll, it was like they were kind of awkwardly like, we want to stay out of your way because like we feel like we don't belong and like we just signed up for this for fun. And like we're kind of like, we actually want to make the tournament. And it's like, we're not trying to be dicks, but like we're trying to take this seriously. And they were cool. They
play fast, stay out of the way.
They stayed out of our way for the most part. But it is weird when you're like, you're playing pretty well and all of a sudden you see a guy like, kind of tomahawk went into the, it's like, oh God, like you just almost hit the bathroom over there. And I'm like, yeah, it's definitely, it's easier when you're like playing with people that are dialed and, you're kind of chasing that. It's like, okay, they're 8 under, we're 6, like, let's get to 8. Like,
we
don't want to get beat by them instead of like, oh yeah, what did you guys have double on that hole? It's like,
the old iron sharpens iron kind of thing. Like, it is tough to play very well. And that maybe actually helped you guys because you were playing together. Because individually, when you play with players that are playing like shit, it's very easy to let that seep into your game.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I remember multiple junior events where I'd watch like a kid miss like a 3-footer, then I'd go up and miss a 3-footer. Like, it just creeps into the back of your mind. Yeah. So, like, you guys having each other to probably, counterbalance that helped a little bit. Well, it was great chat with you guys. Thanks for coming on.
Wait, before we get out of here, we got to ask from your guys' perspective on, so we talked about it this morning on a podcast, but the whole live basically becoming the PGA Tour, what are your initial just thoughts as, let's say, I mean, we're all kind of in the world of golf, but let's say just as a golf fan, like what is your initial thought on the whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think the whole thing's got blown out of proportion so quickly. I mean, I thought original thing, I didn't think it was a bad idea. I still don't think it's a bad idea. It's like, okay, these guys decide they want to take a bunch of money. I personally don't care where the money comes from. We all take money from somewhere. I mean, we all really know where all the money comes from. No, it's like
100%.
Okay, you're a little over the hump in your career. You want to go take $80 million, then go do it. I don't really have a problem with it. And I personally think that Monahan just royally fucked the whole. I mean, he was, Mr., calling their bluff, and it's like all of a sudden it's a thing, and then the tour magically finds $80 million overnight. It's like, oh, weird.
Yeah,
you did have the money, and Phil was right. And I just think I think the golf media is kind of just
it's been overblown.
It's like they can't get enough of it. But what is the actual? So they are merging, or they're like. Because I've read like conflicting, like they're not actually merging. It's just like
it sounds like the PGA Tour is almost going to absorb Live, and be backed by a lot of their financials. So the PGA Tour is finally coming out as a for-profit.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest part of the whole thing.
Yeah, well, they've just been hiding behind this bullshit for forever. I mean, Monahan makes what, 40-45 million a year, and it's basically a racket. It's a whole bullshit. Like,
it's amazing how many people don't know that they were like under investigation for they're about to lose their tax exempt status, and they're like, no, they're a nonprofit. I'm like, well, that's the point. Like, they're supposed to be a nonprofit, and they're making a lot of profit. So like that's why
I never bought the whole like the Saudi money argument from the PGA Tour, because I'm like, I think they're just trying to use that argument to get the upper hand. I don't think they actually believed any of it. I think them coming out as a basically for-profit institution now is a big deal.
Yeah.
I think as a golf fan, what I'm hoping is that it doesn't, I guess one of the things I was reading today is like, well, not the PGA Tour is going to have a lot of power, a lot of money, can they basically just have a separate rule book from the USGA, like on the distance stuff? And I don't really agree with the distance stuff, but I hope there's like one rule book and that it's still like golf, competitive golf, for sure, and not like some gimmicky kind of.
Yeah, because what it sounds like is I think that the Live Tour, even though I think they want to keep and this is just me shooting from the hip here, I think they want to keep the PGA Tour kind of name and like, if a guy wins a tournament, it's like, this is the 110th, like not starting all that new. But I think since Live is kind of where the money is more coming from, I think they're going to be able to have some sort of oversight on, wearing shorts or just simple things like that they do. Who knows if the PGA Tour is going to turn into a 54-hole shotgun. I don't think that's the case, but I do think that there will be some things absorbed by this new tour that are more live based and more focused on that, because that's what the players ultimately like. Now it went to money, but I can guarantee you 90% of the people would rather wear shorts and they'd rather play, 12 to 14 events a year than grind for 40. So
it does seem like a pretty big reversal to go from, basically talking shit about where the money's coming from to now letting them own part of you.
Yeah.
That seems a bit odd.
Oh,
the Saudis own one of the major sports in our country.
Sold out for sure. And at the end of the day, it's like everybody's just shoving their foot in their mouth. But I think, and we talked about this earlier, if anything, like I just want to see all the best players in the world on the same stage. That's where all the golf fans win. Like money's money, like you said, at the end of the day. I mean, you care a little bit where it comes from, but really, like you never really know. Like that was the most rich thing to me, is the PGA Tour standing on this, pedestal of like, oh, we're holier than thou. Where does their money come from? They've got all these shell companies and bullshit.
Yeah, golfers were all of a sudden the moral compass, and I'm like, all these other sports, nobody complains about where the money comes from, and a lot of it comes from the Saudis. Like F1, a lot of big time. I don't see any of their fans boycotting because of where the money comes from, and then all of a sudden, like golfers want to do it, and it's like. Yeah, it's the be all end all, and I'm like, I just.
The PGA Tour had PGA Tour China.
Yeah, I mean, the World Cup was in where the Middle East last year.
Qatar.
There was millions of people that went, and you could, there's it's just the hypocrisy is throughout the entire game. So
I think the most interesting thing will be just how they kind of tier it out, because you've got, if they try to put this team aspect into it, you'll have like. The very exclusive events where there's maybe only 48 to 64 guys playing. Then you'll have maybe these team events where there's 80 guys playing. And so then you'll have like these tiers of tournaments. Yeah. And it might look, a little bit more like the like European Soccer League, where they have like the Premier League and the Champions League and
get relegated.
And you get relegated. I think it might be could end up more like that.
Do you guys like the whole team like aspect of Live?
We actually have discussed this. We didn't like it until we went to Live Tulsa. Okay. And then like all the merch is badass. Yeah. They really have like leaned into the team thing. Yeah. And realistically, like it's not the first thing that comes to your mind. I'm speaking for both of us because we've kind of discussed this, but like the idea of eventually selling it to big like investment groups and shit, I think is pretty cool and pretty ingenious. You're basically creating a league like the NFL or whatever, and then all the franchises are owned by separate, entities. Yeah. And so then there's a bunch more money involved. There's just a whole different side of it, rather than you play for the PGA Tour, the PGA Tour cuts your checks. Like these guys, who knows where the money's gonna be coming from 2 years down the road, it's anybody with that money can buy a team. So like, when it comes down to it, golf's still an individual sport, but it's kind of like racing too. Like there's been interviews with like different teammates where they're like, yeah, you still want to beat each other, but teammates can pick one another up. Like Pat Perez is fucking got to be the heaviest saddle on anybody.
Doesn't make any sense. He was so good for so long.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Like just a huge face of the game.
He kept his card for like 20 something years straight, and then goes to Live, and it's like, can't break 80. Right. It doesn't make any sense to me. But.
Right. No, it's a very like, we could talk for hours about it because there's so many different.
I've watched like a little bit of it here and there, and I don't know. Maybe it's just like the vibe like on TV because it's kind of new for them, but I just haven't really bought into the whole team part of it. I have no
but team names sound a little bit like your 5-year-old T-ball name.
And I think what's funny is I think from my perspective watching, like the team aspect is dope. Like I own a Rippers GC hoodie because I'm a fucking Cam Smith.
It was
$110 for a hoodie. Yeah, I've still bought it. But
t-shirts were like $45. It was a fucking racket.
I never once during the whole event we were at looked at the team score or gave a fuck. Yeah, I was like, okay, like they cycle through team score, individual score. Like that's what I cared about, and I think that's just knowing golf and being around golf for our whole lives. That's what we look at. But like the team thing, and I maybe the money, there's already a ton of money in it, but I can't imagine like Cam Smith is worried about what's that fucking dude's name?
Oh, dude. Well, and that was what
Morgan something, like some shit player.
Random Australian dude that nobody's ever heard his name before was on Cam Smith's team.
And he shot like 82. And I can't
Do you think they let
Cam
that
Smith
guy?
cares.
Do you think they let that guy come up with the name, the team name, the Rippers?
Dude, I know it is a little cheesy, but I think it's like starting. I don't know.
I think once it's say 48 players, once it's 48 names that everyone recognizes, I actually think that will mean a little bit more.
Yeah.
As of now, you've got like the team captains are really the only guys. Even Richard Bland's a captain. Like I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't know who the fuck he is. But what's a clique? Like that's their team name. So nobody knows who he is.
Yeah, some of them are kind of cool, and some of
clique
them are
is.
just like, God, that is the worst name ever.
Yeah.
And some of the logos too, like some of the logos, I'm like, yeah, I could buy into that, and then others, I'm like, I would never buy anything that
Totally
has that logo on it, and then they're at the Masters rocking it. I'm just like, oh my God, this is
they've like bought in. But
if I was a live guy, I would have done the same thing. I would have been like, fuck you, like I'm gonna rock the shit out of this,
right? 100%.
This might be the last year I play in the Masters, so I'm gonna go out with a bang. But yeah, I think I think what I'm excited about, not that they took a bunch of good players, is just like, I don't know, as much as he's a polarizing subject as Brooks Koepka. I mean, it's like, how cool is it to see him win the PGA and came close to the Masters? I mean, it's like, he might be a royal asshole, but like he's really good at golf and he's fun to watch play golf.
Yeah. And
the PGA Tour is not as good without him. Same thing with DJ, Cam Smith. I mean, it's like, it's 100%. Still a good product.
There weren't
it's just
enough.
Not as compelling to me when you know that there's other people out there that are not. You don't want to see any sport competed. Where the competition is not what it could be.
100%.
That's my.
Why put out two decent versions when you can put out one very good product? Like it just makes sense on so many levels. But up until today, I don't think anybody sitting in this room, maybe Marissa, I know she's a big golfer. I don't think anybody in this room thought that this would ever happen. Yeah. Like this, from the visuals and all the statements made by Jay Monahan, this is just so far out of left field. So we definitely had to get your take on it.
I was like sitting at work this morning and I was reading it. I looked at my boss. I'm like, it's not April Fool's, is it?
Dude, that was the first thing I thought. I'm like, is it April 1st?
Someone sent me the link.
I'm like, this is the actual PGA Tour Twitter. I'm like, this can't be happening.
Yes.
Like I was like, I was so taken aback. I was like, whoa, this actually happened.
Someone sent me the link and I thought for sure it was like a trap. Like they were trying to get me to click on something that was going to give me a virus, Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I'm not going to open this on my work phone.
NSFW, live and PGA Tour combined.
I think the best part of it is we needed more people to root against, so at least Patrick Reed is back.
Exactly. Yeah. There's some fucking villains over there that we can root against for sure.
Well, thank you guys for joining us. Appreciate it. Congratulations on that's still obviously you didn't play as well as you wanted to in South Carolina, but now you're like, all right, we qualified last year, so you're gonna play in it again this year, late September, and qualify again, and then go back there and feel like comfortable around it, because that's we've all played enough golf to you step out on a course for the first time, even after one practice round, you're still like, I don't know if I can hit it that spot, I don't know how much caddy recon you did, but like there's still a lot you just don't know, you just don't feel comfortable, and that's one of the biggest things in golf is just feeling comfortable hitting a golf shot's like half the battle at the start of it.
That's what we were talking about. We were like, the cool thing is we didn't miss it by much, and also just playing with the other guys. It's like we weren't like, okay, we just got blown out of the water and we can't hang.
You felt like you belonged.
Yeah, we're like, if we would have played, the way we know we could have easily made match play, which is, you just don't want to go there and get embarrassed and then feel like we didn't belong here. But
totally. No, there's always next year, right?
Sometimes it goes the way you want it to, and sometimes it doesn't.
100%.
Hell yeah, I love that. Well, thanks for joining us, gentlemen. If you guys are listening to this podcast on audio, make sure to check out our YouTube at Big Drive Energy. You can see the whole video of us talking to each other, see the great pins and aces shit we're wearing. But appreciate you guys all tuning in. We'll talk to you guys next week with hopefully some more information on the Live PGA Tour saga. Peace.